This today is officially the end of the console wars as we currently talk about them. The concept of Xbox versus PlayStation is now just completely done because Xbox has just given up. A new leak that came out today says that Microsoft is no longer interested in exclusives. Every game from FORZA to Halo to Gears of War to Hellblade and even huge stuff like Starfield, literally every single game that Microsoft is making or is currently making, they're going to be putting onto PlayStation because that's where the profit's at. PlayStation sells consoles, and more importantly, PlayStation gamers buy games. The Xbox ecosystem is just not profitable. But let's take a look at the leak and some of the anger around it, because a lot of Xbox people are kind of pissed, and I think I understand why. Let's get into it. Hi, I'm DreamcastGuy, and I hope you're having a great day. If you could, give this video a like and subscribe if you haven't already. So, before anything else, look at this. I found a little kitty cat on my porch yesterday, and I managed to snag him and bring him in and get him all cleaned up. Look at this. I got to figure out a name for him. Oh my god. Okay, sorry. Video game time. So here it is. Xbox insider Jez Corden, who we've reported on quite a bit on this channel, hints that every major Xbox game, including Halo and Forza, are making their way to PlayStation. Now, it's interesting. I read his statement. He talked about it pretty extensively, and he said, hey, I think it's time for us to bring games to other consoles. And in fact, Phil Spencer, when they initially brought over these first batch of Xbox games, currently 4 Xbox exclusives have come to PlayStation. That was Hi-Fi Rush, Pentiment, Grounded, and Sea of Thieves. And he said, okay, I'm not going to rule out the fact that eventually more games can come to the platform. And what's crazy is that as soon as they brought these games over to PlayStation, they started selling. I screenshotted this just now. I literally took the screenshot literally 2 minutes ago. These are the top selling games on the entire PlayStation storefront right now. Now, a lot of the stuff is stuff you would expect, a brand new huge game like Stellar Blade. But what's wild is the fact that think about how many of these are actually technically Xbox games. Activision Blizzard. This is a Microsoft Studio game, even if it doesn't say that when you boot it up. Right there. Sea of Thieves. Right there. Fallout. Right there. Like 3 of the top 10 games right now are actually Xbox games. And I think, honestly, that Microsoft is starting to realize that if you want raw upfront dollars instead of just subscriptions to Game Pass, PlayStation is the place to go. Well, what's wild is the fact that after this statement got released, now, for some reason, Jez Corden is kind of trying to backtrack on it. He's trying to claim, hey, I didn't actually say this. It's not, this is a little bit untrue. But his exact tweet is he said, hey, Xbox is bringing every game to PlayStation. And he said, oh, okay, that's just what I personally believe. I'm not stating this as a fact or a report. I'm just having it as a conversation. Later, after he made those initial tweets, he further clarified in a series of Discord messages what he was talking about. And he's again claiming this is out of context, but he essentially said that they are trying to do stuff more like Steam, that Microsoft in the future wants to have affordable prices, more sales, more open to developers. It's honestly, it sounds like if this is the direction they're actually going, if this is not just spitball take, it sounds like this is a good direction for Xbox. I think currently Microsoft has found themselves in a very unfortunate circumstance, which is that they're just not selling Xbox consoles. And I mean that pretty much explicitly in that if you look at the raw console sales numbers, nobody is purchasing an Xbox, and every quarter those sales go down. Like every single quarter, it just drops and drops and drops. So It's baffling to consider the fact that they're spending so many billions of dollars on acquisitions. They spent almost $100 billion buying Activision Blizzard. They spent $40 billion buying Bethesda and stuff like that. As much as it's pumping up their engagement, more people are talking about Xbox. I don't think that's leading to payback. I don't think that's directly leading to more people investing in the ecosystem. The most powerful thing about PlayStation is the fact that it has become the default console. I don't think this is a controversial thing to say, but when you talk to people about where they play, where they're buying games, what they're grabbing next, they talk about pre-ordering it on PlayStation. Now, let's be clear, PlayStation definitely doesn't have enough exclusive games that they're making. Sony is incredibly dead silent. They have not been definitely talking about what's coming next. Like, what is Naughty Dog up to? What is, I don't know, Sony Santa Monica up to? We have no idea what Sony's actually doing, but they have put themselves in a spot where if people have an Xbox in front of them or a PlayStation in front of them and they can only pick one, it seems like 9 times out of 10, they're going to pick the PlayStation. So even though Sony themselves isn't pushing it, they're certainly winning anyways. And so Microsoft has to basically chase that cash. I think a lot of people high up at Xbox have realized that the writing is on the wall. If you want to sell games, you gotta go where the gamers are already at. Now, what I found interesting is that in this initial tweet, straight up, people are mad. When I first looked at this is when I first opened it up. A lot of people are straight up saying that they are going to sell their Xbox Series X. I see a lot of people saying, okay, PlayStation has doubled the sales of Xbox. They want that audience. Some of these comments just range from completely upset to mockery, like this one here. I'm glad I never bought an Xbox. Sony keeps winning. GG. Now, clearly, this is like a stupid troll, but what's interesting to me is the fact that if you look at this, a lot of people are straight up saying, man, what the heck is the point of having this console under my TV if the other system has more games, more exclusives, more features, more of everything, including a bigger player base? Why don't I join the winning team? Now, I have seen a bunch of people talking about 4 games. When Xbox first said that they were releasing these initial test project, these first 4 games, a lot of Xbox people assumed they said just 4 games. A lot of people, when Phil Spencer first said they're testing the waters with bringing games to PlayStation, they assumed this was it. Games had to be out for 2 years or 5 years or some gigantic period of time before they would have a chance to go to PlayStation. And so a lot of people are kind of clinging on that. Okay, hey, if 4 games are going multi-plat, then maybe more stuff is. Like, look at this. They said just 4 games are going multi-plat. They have no plans for more. I don't expect to see any games coming to PlayStation. Yeah, well, you can tell this is a tweet from yesterday, and I'm sure this gentleman is having a bad day today. I've been seeing a ton of stuff like this. Literally hundreds of tweets saying, a month ago, people were saying only 4 games are coming to PlayStation. Now they're thinking, okay, how long until there's an Xbox showcase with PlayStation logos all over the games? I think this is coming up very, very soon. There's a big Xbox showcase coming up here in just a couple weeks, and I think it's fascinating to consider the fact that this may be a time with an E3 style mega showcase of future Xbox games where they might be talking about PlayStation. I do think there is at least a chance that we're going to see them like show off some big, huge title and it'll say, here's the graphics on PlayStation, because that's where the games actually sell. I think part of the reason I'm just so intrigued by this is because it is weird to watch this happen again. Like, I'm about to turn 38 here in just a couple of days. My birthday is next week. And I watched the rise of the Nintendo console wars. Nintendo and Sega clashing against each other. watching them crush Atari back in the day, then watching Sony and Xbox just bash head to head in the PS2 generation at the original Xbox and having the GameCube there, and then watching Sega go third party in the early 2000s was still just such a strange thing to witness. I loved the Sega Dreamcast. It's still my favorite console ever. But watching that sunsetting of Sega, watching them pivot to third party, I think we're about to see that happen again. I think this is the death of Xbox as we currently know it. There's always going to be Game Pass. There's always going to be a way to pay a small fee to have access to their catalog. But I think they're going to become like Ubisoft with Ubisoft Plus. It's going to be a side service you have as a supplemental gaming thing, but not your primary gaming spot. I'm not bashing on the Xbox. I'm not saying the Xbox is the worst thing ever, but it is bizarre to see how times have changed. As we keep getting closer to the Xbox showcase, a lot of talk is about the games, but what happens if they come out and there are 0 exclusives? I think that's a conversation we may be having at length very soon. But tell me your thoughts in the comments down below. And if you enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a like, subscribe if you haven't already, and tell me what you think about my cat. Tell me about my little new kitten. Tell me if you think of a good name for it. Oh, and keep dreaming. Also, I've seen a bunch of people saying, oh, what if they bring Helldivers to Xbox? They're not going to do that. I would be completely shocked. At this point, putting games on Xbox just doesn't make you money. There's no reason to put games on Xbox. Overall. Like if you're developing something and porting it, it's a sunk cost. Thanks so much for watching that video. If you want to see something else, you can always click this link to see what I put up last, or, subscribe and see what's coming up next. Also, I promise that whatever I do, it'll try not to suck.